a knight and a rooster. You need a car. Is that the car we're going with, Benny?
Why do you have to start talking immediately? Let's enjoy this moment. This is an itinerary that you do not want to miss when you come to Tuscany.
You do not want to miss. It's called Strada del Vino e dell'Olio, Chianti Classico. So you need a car. First of all, you need a car, and you drive from Florence to Siena or from Siena to Florence, and it is surrounded by small villages, wines, olive trees. It is incredible. And we will show you where to go. And I think you should tell us the story of Chianti Classico. Is that the car we're going with, Benny?
Of course. This is the car that we're going with. I wanted to show you, pay attention to the label. You have the black rooster, you have the date, and you have the label of the DOCG.
We are in Castellina in Chianti.
And this is where it all began.
And we'll tell you why.
The area of Chianti has over 2,000 years of history. Imagine that. It's such a fertile land that produces some amazing wine. And imagine that the Etruscans were the ones who planted the vineyards. The Romans took it a step forward. They made it even better, and they planted the olive trees, which, you know, this is the land of wine and olive oil. And it has always been super fertile, super rich, super amazing. That's what you want.
And this is why these two cities, Florence and Siena, have always been disputing this land. Here's the tale. The two cities decided to resolve this ever-going dispute, getting a knight and a rooster. Of course,
How else would you solve a problem?
Of course.
If not with a knight and a rooster?
So this is what they had in mind. As soon as the knight hears the rooster crow, vabbè,
sing,
yes, chant, they get their horses and they start galloping. And in the moment the two knights meet, that is where the boundaries of the Chianti, so the part pertaining Florence and the part that would remain to Siena, was going to be decided.
But things never go as planned, and there is a little twist, and the twist is quite particular. So now we're going to do a role play here.
Wait.
Sorry, just a second. I wanted to tell you that if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, Local Aromas, do it now. There's so many things that we're working on, so many videos about Italy that I know that you do not want to miss. So subscribe now.
I am the black rooster and I represent Florence.
I am the white rooster and I represent Siena. Now, this is how the story goes. So everybody had a great strategy. Each city had their own strategy, their own night. But in Siena, I, the white rooster, was well fed. I was pampered. I was given a lot of food so that I would wake up in the morning happy and sing, and everything was going to be beautiful.
In Florence, what we did instead, they starved me to death. The night before, no food. So by the time, even before the crack of dawn, the rooster was starving and it started singing way before dawn. And so the knight got on his horse all the way, basically to Siena.
Imagine. By the time I woke up, my poor knight did very, very few miles. And that is where the boundary was decided.
Where? In Castellina in Chianti. Basically in Castellina in Chianti, just a few kilometers away from Siena. So basically all the Chianti area is owned by Florence.
And still today, centuries later, the people from Siena are still upset about this. But hey, that was their plan and apparently did work.
So now you know why on the label of the Chianti Classico, there's a black rooster. We have just arrived in Radda in Chianti, which is one of the beautiful towns that you visit as you go around the Strada del Chianti Classico. Let's go explore and see how beautiful it is.
Radda is actually... and it's noon! Radda is actually very, very important as far as the history of Chianti goes. Now, let me tell you why, because I love all these little fun facts. So, at the beginning of the 20th century, people loved Chianti so much that the production could not satisfy the demand. And so it was decided to allow the production of Chianti wine outside what was initially established in 1716. So, you know, more wine production, let's make more Chianti. And so everybody said, okay, let's do that. But a group of 33 producers decided to create a consortium to protect the typical Chianti wine. And so they did that here. Okay, in May of 1924, they met here and they created the first consortium to protect a wine. This is the first consortium ever in Italy. I mean, imagine this, we're talking about 1924. And what did they pick as their symbol? The black rooster. And so this was done in Radda, and so that's why Radda is pretty cool and pretty important as far as Chianti goes.
Benny looking at magnets.
Yeah, because I collect magnets. Every trip I have magnets all over my fridge.
And
look at this.
Which one won?
Well, I would take them all. Look, Black Rooster Chianti, this one. It's not specific and it's beautiful.
It looks beautiful.
Okay, so.
And off it goes to Benny's house.
A friend of us told us you have to visit the Castello di Volpaia, and so we obviously came here, and it is beautiful. Imagine the sign behind me, I don't know if you can see it. The Castello has been here since the year 1172. So I just want to show you around because it is gorgeous. 1716 is the most important date in the Chianti world. And why is that? First of all, I'm sure that next time you will pick a bottle of Chianti Classico, you will see that under the Black Rooster you will find this date, 1716. That was the moment where the Grand Duke of Tuscany, Cosimo III, decides to give the wine and the territory a unique thing. So it became when he defined what is now the area known as Chianti Classico, even though the term Classico was linked to Chianti in 1932. So imagine, we're talking about 1716, visionary. I mean, imagine how important Chianti was to link it to a very specific territory in Italy. And it's just fascinating. And not only did he do this, and imagine he even created a supervisory board to make sure that everything was done to perfection, to avoid fraud, to make sure that everything was done as it was supposed to be made, and to guarantee that such a spectacular and important wine was made the way it was supposed to be made. Isn't that mind-blowing? 1716, territory, land.
That is the town of Gaiole in Chianti. It's one of the other towns that you have to stop at and see and visit as you're doing the Strada del Vino e dell'Olio del Chianti Classico. But we are fortunate enough that we can't get there because we are on the weekend of this vintage bike tour, which is super important. It's called L'Eroica, and the bicycles have to be vintage, so nothing tech, nothing easy, and it is packed with people from all over the world. So we don't get to go up to the village, but we do get to experience something that only happens 2 days a year, right over here.
This place behind me is a castle. It is the castle of Broglio, and it is beautiful because it's a castle in Chianti with a view that is spectacular. I mean, look at this view. It's really close to Gaiole in Chianti, And it is very important as far as the wine Chianti goes, because in this place in 1872, so exactly 100 years before I was born, the Baron Bettino Ricasoli came up with the first recipe to make Chianti. Why was it important? Because Chianti back then was already important. I mean, it already had power. So it was something that was traded, that was consumed. And so he wanted to create something that was standard, meaning that in Italian we say non si faceva sentimento, meaning that they just didn't come up with whatever recipe worked or made sense. And so he came up with, after a lot of experimenting, with the perfect blend of 3 grapes. 3 grapes. Obviously, the most important one is Sangiovese, because Sangiovese is king of these lands. And so in 1872, he came up with the first recipe of Chianti.
And once you've done touring, drinking, looking, then you do something super fun. Come, look. You see this little house? It's got ink. So you grab your little piece of paper. Let me just open a whatever kind of page, and you create your very personal souvenir. So open the ink and look. Can you guess what this is? And there you go, your personal souvenir from Chianti. Wait, I found another one. Vieni, papi. Is it a rooster? No. What's around surrounding us? Benny, look. I think I know what it is. Very nice. I would imagine it being olives. But it's still a unique souvenir. Nobody has this. We have made it to our final stop. We are in Greve in Chianti. So we traveled, I would say, from Siena. We did all the different villages. Now we're heading towards Florence. But this is actually where the Chianti Classico area ends. But there's actually there's a fun story about this village.
Yes, actually, this village is the birthplace of Giovanni da Verrazzano. And you know who he is? No.
Verrazzano. Does that ring a bell?
A bridge, New York. The bridge of Verrazzano in New York, exactly. Why is that? Because in 1524, this man that was from here was the first European to sail to the New York harbor. Imagine that. So and he was from here.
Imagine. I mean, imagine what.
When there's like no water around here.
And so I would say that after so much traveling, so much talking, so much exploring,
it's time to go drink.
Let's go drink Chianti Classico
in Greve.
In Greve in Chianti.
This is my kind of place.
This is her kind of place.
Fiorentina steak.
Well, the whole point of traveling across...
Ale, why do you have to start talking immediately? Let's enjoy this moment before you start talking.
Well, the whole point of driving and enjoying this incredible journey, itinerary in the Chianti Classico is also because you have to stop and enjoy the Chianti Classico. So remember the Black Rooster, remember the date. Do you have anything to say?
Cheers.
Well, I would say another mission accomplished.
Wonderfully well.